Okay, update on general equities here. It's June 5th. So we have a full weekly candle. And, since the last update, really not much has happened, but I think it's important to understand the details. So we'll start with the daily chart. And so I think the last update was on the June 1st. That following day, we had a big, big green candle, pretty strong. And on a lower time frame, if we like go down to, let's say, the 1 hour chart, you can see, you could say that this was a bull flag and that was your breakout. And then you got kind of rejected the next day. But ultimately, going back to the daily chart, it's just consolidation, right? So this was your Friday candle. You didn't, and so these are the levels that you want to be paying attention to, the high and the low of that big green candle, right? So, but between 41.77 and 40.76, you're really kind of in no man's land. So just kind of chopping around. We did make a new high on day 14. So that was, I guess that was Thursday, right? And so that's your number to beat here. And remember, we've already made a new low on this daily cycle below the previous daily cycle. And so the expectation is that we would fail. Right now, we're hovering above the 10 period moving average. So you could totally expect that we make another leg higher, even if we're going to make a leg lower, if that makes sense. But more importantly, if we look at the weekly chart, last week was week 14. Not much happened, right? We basically consolidated at the high end of the range. We did make a slight new high. And so next week, when Monday starts, we'll start week 15. And so what you'll want to see is, do we continue to consolidate in this area? Do we get that break up to the upside? Or, what's more sort of likely is that you start to see a breakdown below that 40.75 area. That gives you your weekly swing high, right? Below this, swing slight high right here. And so that's what we're kind of watching out for. Of course, if it's bullish instead, then, I'll take it. The other sort of major area of resistance you would expect after that is around that 4,300 area. So we could totally rally up there before making that next leg lower. Again, week 15 would be relatively early in the weekly cycle. And the other thing I'll point out, and I think it's important to start to really pay attention to, is that we are in the timing band where we're like, many asset classes have come out of a major cycle low starting in March 2020, right? The COVID low. And so it is very possible that for the S&P, for instance, this month 22 high was our 3-year cycle high. And if it's a 3-year cycle, you're talking something like 36 months. And so we might have had our high on month 22 of a 36-month cycle. It's now month 27. And so that's a very real possibility to consider. If we switch over to QQQ, I'll stay on the monthly chart. Same idea, except in the case of QQQ, we topped out on month 20. That was in November, whereas S&P topped out in January. Still month 27. I mean, this very much has a look of something that is still in decline. Now, certainly due for a counter trend retracement, right? Maybe even make a new high above this candle here. Like, that would be your May high, right? Maybe even make so like a rally up to even the 332 area before kind of ultimately rolling over, right? Like on a kind of monthly level before the kind of final coup de grace. And I'm not saying we're going down to 215 for sure. I'm just saying just kind of the general pattern. You might expect a rally, counter trend rally, before a new leg kind of lower. And QQQ is much in the same sort of spot as S&P. Made a new high on that day 14, but then just consolidated. I mean, look how frustrating that is. And that's why reading price action is so incredibly important. These 2 days and this day were just nothing, right? Just chop. This is your real move. And this is just fake out, fake out, fake out. And these are your real moves. these 3 up days. And so this does to me have the look of something that's pausing for a move higher, maybe to that 330 area eventually. Not necessarily, next week. Maybe, who knows? Maybe next week is another week of consolidation. But this has the look of something that is sort of building up energy for another leg higher, which may be exactly what gives us the energy to go significantly lower. And for QQQ, last week was week 11. That swing high level for QQQ is 303.85. And so next week will be week 12. Again, that doesn't set us up for a good spot in terms of weekly cycle decline. And finally, IWM, same spot as the other 2 indices, except again, I'll keep mentioning we did not make a new low below the previous daily cycle low, right? These are actually, excuse me, that was your previous daily cycle low. We came down here, did not make a new low. We made a higher low, came up here. This is another higher low. So if there is a bullish inclination, it's IWM I want to play for sure. Although at the same time, there's still that danger that, we're moving into that 36-month cycle low, if you want to say. And IWM topped out on month 20 as well, just like QQQ. So that's important to note. But I'd say short term, if we are going to see a little counter trend rally, IWM is probably the vehicle to play it.